So this is higher order truths about Chmess by Dennett. So Dennett is a big name philosopher in Topoi from 2006. So this is getting on almost 20 years. And I mean, we're going to have to figure out what the Chmess is here, but we'll find out. It's not a long paper, it's a short paper. So, as always, read through it, try to figure out what it has to say, and at the end we review it, and review will go up on a website. And as far as you know, as far as I know, I don't know what this is. Please ask questions along the way. If you have any questions, I will try to answer them, but I don't know what I'm doing anyway. My favorite was, don't eat those, Andrew. Those are poison arrows. Like, yeah. One of my favorites is like School for Gifted with like a kid leaning on a door that says pull, and he's just like leaning on it. It's like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, knife. All right, so here we go. Philosophy is an a priori discipline like mathematics, or at least it has an a priori methodology at its core, and this fact cuts two ways. On the one hand, it excuses philosophers from spending tedious hours in the lab or the field, and from learning data gathering techniques, statistical methods, geography, history, foreign languages, empirical science, so they have plenty of time for honing their philosophical skills. On the other hand, as is often noted, you can make philosophy out of just about anything, and this is not always a blessing. I mean, it depends what you mean by a priori there. You have to know something. There is no philosophy if you have no experience. You need experience in the world. Like, the idea that it's an a priori discipline, I think, is actually just wrong. Like, it's false. The idea that, like, you can just be like, it's a priori at all is not true. If you're going to be a philosopher, you have to know something about like the life in the world. Like, you have to have experience. There is no just like, okay, I'm going to come up with a number and is Viper a terrible mod? What are the options? No, of course not. No, of course not. Exactly. It's maybe the first poll I ever had in chat. I'm actually disappointed there's no way to spend channel points on this, but maybe I'm not allowed to as a streamer. I don't know. So I actually think Dennett has already sort of begged the question in the first paragraph, which is an impressive thing to do. Most people are not this clear and like fucked up in like the very beginning. Like he's already set himself up in a certain way, and it already makes no sense. Communist poll, yeah. And Ivan was going into the communists earlier, yeah. Yeah, communism as it has been has never worked, so he had a point. But yeah, we're always going for the, gay space communism. That's what we always do. So, consider as a paradigm of a priori truths the truths of chess. It is an empirical fact that people play chess, and there are mountains of other empirical facts about chess, about how people have been playing it for centuries, often use handsomely carved pieces on inlaid boards, and so forth. No knowledge of these empirical facts play an indispensable role in the activity of working out the a priori truths of chess, which also exist in abundance. All you need to know are the rules of the game. There are exactly 20 legal opening moves for white, 16 pawn moves, and 4 knight moves. A king and a lone bishop cannot achieve checkmate, and neither can a king and a lone knight, and so forth. Working out these a priori truths about chess is not child's play. Proving just what is and is not possible within the rules of chess is an intricate task, and mistakes can be made that get perpetuated. For instance, a few years ago, a computer chess program discovered a mating net, a guaranteed win consisting of over 200 moves without a capture. This disproved a long-standing theorem of chess and has forced a change in the rules of the game. It used to be that 50 moves without a capture by either side constituted a draw, a stalemate, but since this lengthy mating net is unbreakable and leads to a win, it is unreasonable to maintain the 50-move stalemate. Before computers began playing chess, nobody imagined that there could be a guaranteed win of anywhere near this length. All this can be pretty interesting, and many highly intelligent people have devoted their minds to investigating this system of a priori truths of chess. Okay, as an aside, there was, what's his name? Raymond Smullyan was a great logician, and he actually devised logics based on the rules of chess. And he was a fun guy. He was he was on like, he was a magician and very quick and like quick-witted, and he was on like Leno and stuff. So he was this academic logician, but he was also a very good magician. And so he like did late night circuits and stuff. And so he would actually describe, like, you could say, what are the logical moves in certain points to, like, in chess. And you can actually devise a logic. Where is the party in opposition that has not been decried as communistic by its opponents in power? There we go. Oh, yeah. That's from Natty Science. I know you are, but what am I? Yeah, so Raymond Smullyan died a few years ago. One of the people I know in New York City was one of his like top grad students and famous in his own right. And it's like, so I've heard Smullyan stories, but like there's books on like logic and chess, and they're, you know, he tried to make them kind of accessible. So you can like look this up. You can buy them all on Amazon for a few dollars. Okay. So like Dennett's not wrong about this. There's like research that can be done. Like a priori in chess. Some philosophical research projects or problematics, to speak with the more literary types, are rather like working out the truths of chess. A set of mutually agreed upon rules are presupposed and seldom discussed, and the implications of those rules are worked out, articulated, debated, refined. So far, so good. Chess is a deep and important human artifact about which much of value has been written. But some philosophical research projects are more like working out the truths of Chmess. Chmess is just like chess, except that the king can move 2 squares in any direction, not 1. I just invented it, though no doubt others have explored it in depth to see if it is worth playing. Probably it isn't. It probably has other names. I didn't bother investigating these questions because although they have true answers, they just aren't worth my time and energy to discover, or so I think. There are just as many a priori truths about Chmess as there are about of chess and infinity, and they are just as hard to discover. And that means that if people actually did get involved in investigating the truths of Chmess, they would make mistakes, which would need to be corrected, and this opens up a whole new field of a priori investigations, the higher order truths of Chmess, such as the following. Okay. Hold your horses, Dan Dennett. There's always more math to be invented. You can make a mathematical model of a system and then change the initial conditions. That's all he did here. You did a model of a system, which it looks like chess, except it has slightly different properties. You have a different law of nature, and then you can run that as many times as you want. Who gives a fuck? No one gives a fuck, and it's not actually that hard to do, to just come up with a new law of nature and see how it plays out. If it's not the law of nature in the actual world that people care about, why bother? There are, of course, as many mathematical things in this universe as you want to make up. You can just change a law or change a rule and see what happens. You can always come up with another logic, just come up with a slightly different, like, rule about implication or like conjunction. Whatever you want, you can do it. But it's pointless because no one cares and no one plays that game. No one uses that rule of logic, or rule of inference. So it's like, what do you care? But if that's what you're doing here, and it's like, what do you mean you came up with a whole new field of a priori investigations? Yeah, congratulations. You're investigating some arbitrary math that no one cares about. You have to have some reason for doing this. The idea that you're just going to go investigate some mathematical structure because shits and giggles? Well, okay, but like, no one gives a fuck. Reality Guru. He's making a good point about the level of depth possible in any given field. He didn't actually delve into his hypothetical example of it. I mean, that's just parasitic upon the thing. It's like I said, you could make up a different law of nature, and it's like, is that interesting? Kind of, but not really, because you're already, the only interest in that other law is that, well, the law of that the world is kind of like it. And so anything you're doing that's like just changing of law of nature to be different from what it actually is, it's like it's an exercise, but is it actually interesting to anything we're doing in the world? And welcome in. Hi, I'm Noah, Noger, No Gray, whatever. Yeah. Only if you make it up in an interesting way, that is fiction. Yeah, exactly. And so, but he's making it sound like, oh, he's doing a lot of new fancy things. Like I just highlighted, a whole new field of a priori investigation. Is it really? Or are we just parasitic upon the way it was? Hey, Tommy, what's going on? You blame Dennett for Chalmers and this kind of clever but pointless argumentation? Yeah. Clever but pointless is the tagline for a stream. Well, thank you. You just called me clever. Thank you, Vipers. Nicest thing you've ever said. Yeah. And anyone who doesn't know, go hang out with Tommy. Tommy's not the philosopher. Shout out to the Tommy. No, not Tomu, Tommy. Wait, hold on. Now you need to know the correct pronunciation of my name. Noger. No Gray. You can call me No Grayo. Some people do that too. My name's Noah. You can call me Noah. I don't care. Just don't be a jerk. Like, because I started off, I think, as No Gur, and then I would go into streams and I was chatting and people would call me No Gray, and I didn't correct them. And so I was like, it's okay to be called No Gray. And so some people in parts of Twitch still call me No Gray, and that's fine. But like, more people have it's like been closer to No Gur, so it's just like that's how it goes. I don't actually have an official thing at the moment. And you had me thinking you're mispronouncing it this whole time? No. That's the whole thing. It's exactly, if it's based on my name, it should be No Gree. So I mean, go ahead. But like, it's not really it's like it kind of moved on. It's not it is like the first 2 letters of my first name, first 3 letters of my last name. But like, I wasn't thinking to pronounce it like that though. Frank says no, it must rhyme with ogre. I mean, that's kind of how most people say it. It's like N ogre, Noger. So yeah. But yeah, okay. Noger a priori. Well, I mean, Natty, you're a scientist. You might have to go investigate, and you're gonna find that there are dissenters. There are. So. Yeah, it's spelled Noger but pronounced GIF. I am firmly on the GIF side of things. Hard G in the graphics interchange format. Like Gilbert, gifted, you think it was like ogre, skinny puppy, same, yes. So, and anyone who says otherwise is wrong about the graphics interchange format acronym. Giraffe. Yeah. I mean, that's fair, but I mean gift. It's not gift, it's gift. I mean, yeah, there are giraffe, but again, where's giraffe from? Like, what kind of language is? The inventor of formula says it's GIF. Yes, and sometimes A, he could have been fucking with you. B, he could be wrong. Like, I just think he's wrong. Like, I think he's actually just wrong about how it should be pronounced. Just because you made up the graphics interchange format does not give you carte blanche to change how the acronym is pronounced. That has nothing to do with it. The acronym is not what he came up with. He came up with graphics interchange format. Graphics interchange format. Now, if you make an acronym, that's governed by the rules of English, which I would think goes with GIF. There's a German ice called Nager. Hey, what's up, Lumpy? How you doing? It's gnome, not genome. Yes, it's gnome. Yeah. Yeah, Frank, I'm with Frank. The inventor of the form has no authority over its pronunciation. Yeah, just because you invent something, unless if it's a proper name, you have no control over the rules of it, like how English is pronounced. Now, of course, you are free to pronounce things the way you want, and maybe like you can say this is how I think of it, but that doesn't mean the rest of us have to listen to you. Ask Dennett about GIF. Yeah. Okay. It's still it's on Linux. Yeah, for Fight Me Torvalds. I mean, his name is Linus. Yeah, so it's like Linux. So it's like, it was like Unix that Linus made. For people who don't know the history of Linux, it's Linus is Unix. So he put his first name with Linus with Unix. So Linux. Yeah. And similarly, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. I mean, there is one scene or something where, some of the Christmas, one or two Christmas themes get brought up in that. So I lean towards it is a Christmas movie. It might soon become a Christmas movie though. Why? Why would it become one if it hasn't been? Die Hard is a sandwich. Okay. Better, the theme of the day is Pyrrhic victory is still a victory. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I have no idea how we got into this. Yeah, because Tommy thought I was mispronouncing my name. And we got to Christmas movies, yeah. If people keep saying is one enough, it will come to mind as one of the Christmas movies. Yeah, but that's not a good way of thinking of the way the world is. Just if people say something stupid enough times, doesn't make it true. Like, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. A X movie. That's exactly what I was thinking. And I mean, I'm sure you all know the arguments. Basically, it's based, like, the idea that he's trying to reconnect with his family. That's a general Christmas theme. Of course, other movies that are not Christmas themed also have reconnecting with the family, things like that. But yeah, I got a haircut. Yes, I do every so often get haircuts, Lumpy. Yes. Like a week or two ago. But yeah. Next, you'll be saying the word normalcy. I mean, yes, because I'm a streamer and I read chat. But, hey, everyone agreed that literally wasn't literally, and I've given up. Yes, but that's stupid and you don't have to put up with that either. And I know they changed the definition, but I don't use it in the dumb way. So I don't do it. You can't win against the mob. Yeah. It's sometimes useless to fight, like, the way language just shifts meaning over time, and that's okay. But, like, again, I'm not doing anything I think is stupid. If I say something is literal, I mean it in the way it was. But of course, yeah. That was just for people who don't read books. Yeah, it could be. And they call me Ivan. I have a philosophy degree. I have a degree in curmudgeonness. I am like curmudgeon-y. Like, that is like what a philosophy degree means, is that you are like a professional curmudgeon. Like, people when I was a kid used to say you're like the most stubborn person I know. It's like, yeah. He doesn't use normal C because normatively is what esoteric people say instead. Okay, I see. Curmudgeoncy, yes. I have a degree in curmudgeoncy. Normality, I have no idea what you guys are on about the normalcy, normality debate here. Like, normatively, normalcy, I don't even know what normalcy is. Normality, oh my God. Don't, like, am I supposed to understand this stuff? I don't know. Yeah, curmudgeonologically. Yeah. So, like, yes, it's the study of curmudgeonness. Curmudgeonology. Yeah. Norm C. McDonald. Yeah, Norm McDonald, exactly. Yeah, Norm McDonald D. Rest in peace. Okay. What was I saying? Okay. So there are higher order truths of Chmess. So that's just chess with one other rule changed. Jones's 1989 proof that P is a truth of Chmess is flawed. He overlooks the following possibility, blah, 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 then, etc., etc. And then Smith's 2002 claim that Jones's 1988 proof is flawed presupposes the truth of Brown's lemma 1975, which has recently been challenged by Garfinkel 2002. Lumpy says, a Tunisian colleague was teaching us the various ways of saying inshallah to dismiss a request. It was funny. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. My uncle was a investigator for the state of California, for the city of Oakland or San Francisco, I forget. He was out in San Francisco, Oakland area. And one person, he would deal with people saying, oh, I've been sexually harassed at work. I want you to investigate because, like, they've been harassing me. It's breaking some laws and I'll sue the state. Like, you have to enforce the sexual harassment laws and I want you to arrest these people and, like, give me a lot of money because I'm being sexually harassed at work. And so he would get people that would come to him and say this and he'd go investigate. And one time he was telling me he was investigating this guy, say that one of the secretaries, a lady, was harassing him, saying, like, all these, like, words that, like, were like terrible things. Like, he was just like, I just want to be left alone and do my job. So he goes and he investigates the lady, and turns out she's an immigrant. She doesn't know any slang. She doesn't know the words. Like, she literally doesn't know the words that he's saying that she said, because they were all slang words for, sex and boobs and other, like, genitalia. And she just doesn't know them because the only English she knows is extremely formal. And he's just like, okay, that guy's crazy. So yeah, it's like this, like, you get these weird situations where people understand certain segments of English and not other segments of English. And it's like, okay, it's like, doesn't even make sense. So it's like, yeah, case dismissed. Viper says, an OSR perspective on the claim that Die Hard is a Christmas movie by me. Yes, exactly. Okay, so these are just joke statements that could be made up about Dennett's hypothetical change to chess. Now, none of this is child's play. In fact, one might be able to demonstrate considerable brilliance in the group activity of working at the higher order truths of Chmess. Here's where Donald Hebb's dictum comes in handy. If it isn't worth doing, it isn't worth doing well. I mean, yes, why would anyone investigate Chmess? Each of us can readily think of an ongoing controversy in philosophy whose participants would be out of work if Hebb's dictum were ruthlessly applied, but we no doubt disagree on probably which cottage industries should be shut down. Probably there is no investigation in our capacious discipline that is not believed by some school of thought to be wasted effort, brilliance squandered on taking in each other's laundry. Voting would not yield results worth heeding, and dictatorship would be even worse, so let 1,000 flowers bloom, I say. Donald Hebb's dictum would make a good Scott album title. Yes, it would. Yeah, so now, alright, so this all was set up. Dennett set us up, said, oh, you can do this crazy stuff and there'd be all this knowledge, but of course it's a waste of time. No one cares. And he's saying, and don't you realize that everyone in philosophy also thinks this of everyone else in philosophy? It's true. I think some debates in philosophy are not really worthwhile, but, people like them. And who am I to say? I've been wrong before and I'll be wrong in the future again, so. Alright, but just remember, if you let 1,000 flowers bloom, count on 995 of them to wilt. The alert I want to offer you is just this. Try to avoid committing your precious formative years to a research agenda with a short shelf life. Who the fuck knows what's going to have a short shelf life? I mean, that's the dumbest thing. It's like, again, hey, your research agenda might be stupid. Don't choose a stupid one. Well, no one thinks what they like is stupid. Philosophical fads quickly go extinct, and there may be some truth to the rule of thumb: the hotter the topic, the sooner it will burn out. Who the fuck knows? I mean, it's like, okay, now it sounds like get off my lawn. It's like, oh yeah, come back and listen and work on the hard problems. It's like, well, who gets to say what the hard problems are? Like Plato? It's like, that's just old man philosophy again. Voting already doesn't matter so much in our American Uniparty. Got him. Exactly. I mean, you should vote at the local levels. That does more than people realize. You get the local people who are less crazy, and then that does prevent the people at the top from doing even more crazy things sometimes. It does matter, voting. Yes, I stole your paper. Oh, stole a paper title. Okay. Yeah. Who the fuck knows? Yeah. One good test to make sure you're not just exploring the higher order truths of Chmess is to see if people aside from philosophers actually play the game. Can anyone outside of academic philosophy be made to care whether you're right about whether Jones' counterexample works against Smith's principle? Another such test is to try to teach the stuff to uninitiated undergraduates. If they don't get it, you should really consider the hypothesis that you're following a self-supporting community of experts into an artifactual trap. Again, your research is probably not what the undergraduates are going to understand. This is always a problem I find in philosophy. They always say, oh, you should explain it to the undergrads. You should be able to do that. You should at least be able to explain why it's important to them. The idea that some 18-year-old schmuck kid who knows jack shit is going to understand advanced research is just what I was complaining about in the that Wittgenstein was saying earlier. You can't make people you can make people feel like they understand, but they don't really understand in a very short amount of time. Stuff takes work. Stuff takes effort. So the idea that I'm if I can't explain it to my grandma, or I can't explain something to some undergraduate, that makes it bad. No fucking way, because a fucking 18-year-old doesn't know jack shit, or most of them don't. And so why would that be the test of what people have to get for it to be interesting to me? Really? You think the stuff I'm interested in is going to be the same shit I was interested when I was 18? No. And could I explain it to myself when I was 18? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't remember what the fuck I was thinking. And why would I care about the same, the stuff I like now? It's I know huge amounts of stuff compared to when I was 18. And some of it, there's overlap, of course, but there's different sorts of people out there. There's going to be somebody who's unbelievable at ethics. One of you out there might be an ethical genius. I don't give a flying fuck about most of ethics, but that doesn't mean everyone else in the world wouldn't care about what this ethical genius has to say. But that wouldn't be up to me. Yeah. I'm really this is just a get off my lawn by Dennett. A lot of this at the moment. I'm kind of annoyed. Aris, close your ears. Yeah. Well, again, I don't, yeah, seriously. No, I was not playing with mortgage calculus when I was 18. Exactly. Now, you might be able to explain to your 18-year-old self, like, it's cool to buy some, like, house at a certain point. Like, and your 18-year-old self may be like, okay, yeah, I understand. Like, I have more money. I want to go buy some stuff. That's okay, but, like, that's not, like, that doesn't mean anything here. Because, like, okay, in the abstract, yeah, it's cool to do something. That doesn't mean shit. Oh, why PH category preferences change over time, yeah. You don't get a flying F about ethics, but you ought to. Yeah. Well, most of what I see in contemporary ethics is like I don't care about that. Hell, I'm working on a paper on ethics right now. Like in Wittgensteinian ethics, I'm one little problem. It's like, okay, and I'm doing that because I had some other paper that I can adapt to it. Like, but other than that, I don't really want to touch ethics. Like, yeah. With Wittgenstein on this, like little is going to get said by me on the topic. Okay, so here's the trap. Here's the get off my lawn trap. Here's one way the trap works. Philosophy is to some extent an unnatural act. And the more intelligent you are, the more qualms and reservations you are likely to have. Hey, what's up, Tindarius on Kick? More likely to have about whether you get it, whether you're doing it right, whether you have any talent for this discipline, and even on whether the discipline is worth entering in the first place. So it's saying, the smarter you are about this, the more you're going to be worried about it, about philosophy. The more qualms and reservations you are likely to have. So, bright student Jones is appropriately insecure about going into philosophy. Intrigued by Professor Brown's discussion, Jones takes a stab at it, writing a paper on Hot Topic H that is given an A by Professor Brown. You've got real talent, Jones, says Brown, and Jones has just discovered something that might make suitable life work. Jones begins to invest in learning the rules of this particular game and playing it ferociously with other young aspirants. Hey, we're good at this, they say, egging each other on. Doubts about the enabling assumptions of the enterprise tend to be muffled or squelched for the sake of argument. Publications follow. The problem is here, who cares what topic is? They said it's a hot topic H. Couldn't it just be any topic? Yeah, exactly, reality. He's projecting his own imposter syndrome on all philosophers. Now, a lot of philosophers do suffer from imposter syndrome. Like, if you see people talk about it, they talk about this a lot. Because in philosophy, you have these, like, people who are held up as the greats. And no one is going to ever measure up to, like, Plato, Socrates, or Aristotle. It just won't happen. Like, this, they've been around too long. You can't ever replicate 2,000 years of history. So people have this sort of imposter syndrome. How can I be with those people? But this is like, who gives a shit what topic is? It could be lame topic like J that like no one cares about, but you get an A on the paper because the teacher's like, that's still a smart thing to say. Who gives a shit if it's hot topic or lame topic? Like, yeah, maybe you won't get a job if you're writing on lame topics, but that doesn't make you a bad philosopher. It means maybe you just, not talk about what people care about now. Yeah. So, author says, so don't count on the validation of your fellow graduate students or your favorite professor to settle the issue. Well, of course, no one fucking knows. Yeah. Sorry, it's funny. Is Vipers a terrible mod? Poll ended 25 minutes ago. I think I've actually always, the mods I have are basically people who've said, no one has given me mod, or no one in their right mind has given me mod. The only person I've modded for like actual reasons was Aris. And if anyone's here is new, these are our philosophy friends. I already shouted out Tommy. I should add Tommy to the list. But anyone here is new. These are the philosophy peoples and associated buddies around Twitch. Some of the social science peoples. So yeah, we've got Aris, who I keep talking about, Evolve Yourself TV, there's an Ask a Philosopher chat, there's Ivan Neo, who rated in, of course, Prof for Prof, Luminance Bloom. Prof for Prof does like social philosophy, Luminance is a continental. And then we've got Anne Fernal and Shane, who are both sociologists. Shane does history and does more politics. The Kali Oxenfree is a linguistics streamer. Streams on Sundays. Chemistry is Lumpy Dragon Potatoes in chat. And of course, we've got Globus the Elder. Yeah. So you don't get a mod because you've already mod for like non-accounts? Yes. Same with Shane. Shane's never getting mod here unless he like really wants it. Because everyone else mods Shane. I'm like, I don't need Shane to mod here. And Shane doesn't need extra mod responsibilities. So I was like, yes, because you're already mod other places, you're not getting it here. You see how my brain works. Do not give you the responsibility? I won't. You have to actually mean like no one in their right mind would give me mod, and that's why the Walterverse is mod, because he said like no one in their right mind would give me mod, so I gave him mod. And then I think Lumpling Laura is a mod because she was freaking out. She didn't like certain numbers and she was modded in exactly that number, so I gave her mod to get her off that number. Yeah. You lurk in shitpost. There you go, Unreal Brian. That's great. You're only mod for cosmetic purposes? Yes. No, really, don't give me any responsibility. I'll ban everyone. Good to know. You're not getting any. I wasn't going to. All right. So, yeah. So, again, I don't understand this essay. I don't understand this. Because who else as an undergrad are you supposed to look up to? If you can't take the word of your professors as an undergrad when you don't know jack shit, then who else are you going to talk to? Like, this makes no sense. Like, come on, Dennett, this really doesn't make sense. If you think reverse psychology is going to work, that's not actually how it works. You have to mean what you're saying. Reverse psychology is a scheme. Schemes ain't going to work. Okay, they all have vested interest in keeping the enterprise going. It's what they do. They know how to do. It's what they are good at. Yeah, but that's how every enterprise goes. Everything. Like, that's not a problem. This is a problem in other fields too, of course, and can be even harder to break out of. Experimentalists who master a technique and equip an expensive lab for pursuing it often get stuck filling in the blanks of data matrices that nobody cares about any longer. I don't understand this essay, is Aris's line. Yeah, that's true. It's a bad. Well, yeah. Well, I will take your word for it. At that point, it all costs money. What are they supposed to do? Throw away all that expensive apparatus? It can be a nasty problem. It is actually easier and cheaper for flossers to retool. After all, our training is not in general high tech. It's mainly a matter of learning our various ways around, our way around in various literatures, learning the moves that have been tried and tested. And here the trap to avoid is simply this. You see that somebody eminent has asserted something untenable or dubious in print. Professor Goofmaker's clever but flawed piece is a sitting duck, just the right target for an eye-catching debut publication. Go for it. You weigh in along with a dozen others, and now you must walk your step, because by the time you've all cited each other and responded to the responses, you're a budding expert on how to deal with responses to Goofmaker's minor overstatement. And remember, too, that if Goofmaker hadn't made his thesis a little too bold, he never would have attracted all the attention in the first place. The temptation to be provocative is not restricted to graduate students on the lookout for splashy entrance into the field. Yeah, so if you're going to get into the field just by doing a response paper, okay, but you need more to say about that than... Like, that's not it. How much undergrad teaching experience does Dennett have? Valpo, people regard Dennett very highly. This is making me doubt Dennett's status as anything at this point. I kind of get the sense that he's doing this to just pull our chains. I think Dennett's trolling us, because if he's not trolling us, this is crap. Yeah, he's breaking the fourth wall now. Yeah, I kind of feel like he's being a troll. That's all he's doing at the moment. And I kind of suspect that's exactly what this is. This whole paper's a troll. Of course, some people are quite content to find a congenial group of smart people with whom to share the fun of discovery. I know, but this paper's weird. He's just saying get off my lawn over and over in different ways. It's like, you should know better. Yeah. So, just find a congenial group of smart people with whom to share the fun of discovery, the pleasure of cooperation, and the satisfaction of reaching agreement, as John Austin put it, without worrying about whether the joint task is worth doing. This is exactly what Wittgenstein said not to do. I just quoted Wittgenstein saying, talking about fun things and making you feel like you understand is the lowest desire of modern people. He literally just said, this is the lowest desire of modern people. And he says, some people are content to do this. It's whatever. This is gatekeeping with extra steps. Yeah. Unreal says, I'm getting an age where I can sympathize with repeatedly yelling, get off my lawn and live on the 6th floor. Yeah. It's come on. Okay. And if enough people do it, it eventually becomes a phenomenon in its own right, worth studying. There is something to that, but it means that enough people care. And if enough people care, then maybe there's something to it. Now, is it only stupid people who care? That's a different thing. But if enough people care, then maybe there's something to it in philosophy, because generally you have a bunch of smart people, and if they find it interesting, maybe there's value in it. Now, if they're all being stupid at that point, it's like, well, then they're all being stupid, and you should just not deal with that kind of philosophy. As Burton Drebin used to say to the graduate students at Harvard, philosophy is garbage, but the history of garbage is scholarship. Some garbage is more important than other garbage, however, it's hard to decide which of it is worth scholarship. In another lecture published in the same book, Austin gave us the following snide masterpiece. It is not unusual for an audience at a lecture to include some who prefer things to be important, and to them now, in case there are any such present, there is owed a peroration. Ifs and cans. I don't even know what the word peroration means. Go look that up. The concluding part of an oration in which the speaker recapitulates the principal points, so it's a summary. So yeah. Okay, and urges them with great earnestness and force with a view to make a deep impression on his hearers, hence the conclusion of a speech, however constructed. Okay. Yeah, or maybe it's just bad form to use the phrase circle jerk in your paper. Yeah, I mean, that's literally all that's getting said here. Okay. Yeah, so he's saying, it's not, all right, so he has to conclude, and he's saying, I'm concluding by concluding. It's like, yes. The following paper, I'm going to tell you about the following paper. Yeah. Okay, Austin was a brilliant philosopher, but most of the very promising philosophers who orbited around him, no doubt chuckling at this remark, have vanished without a trace. Their oh-so-clever work in ordinary language philosophy duly published and then utterly and deservedly ignored within a few years of publication. It has happened many times. The history of philosophy is most people not getting remembered. That's like the fact that you're comparing them to the one guy who was remembered. It's like, that's not like, yeah, you're already comparing them to like one of the greats of the 20th century philosophy. It's like, okay, so there's a handful of people who will be remembered in 20th century philosophy. So did everyone else waste their time? Not really. I mean, maybe some did, but like, so what? Like, are you saying if you're not going to be one of the all-time greats, don't bother? I mean, no one knows who's going to be the all-time great. So you can't tell people not to do that. And it's like, and you don't know either, Dennett. You don't. Unreal says, I read his consciousness book once. I wanted to like him and probably do in theory, but I found his writing surprisingly clunky and difficult to get a handle on. Yeah, I don't love reading this out loud. I mean, granted, I don't think this was meant. You do. His name was Robert Paulson. Yes, his name was Robert Paulson. Okay. So what should you do? The tests I have mentioned, seeking if folks outside philosophy or bright undergrads can be made to care, are only warning signs, not definitive, so he's walking back what he just said earlier. Certainly there have been and will be forbiddingly abstruse and difficult topics in philosophical investigation, well worth pursuing in spite of the fact that the uninitiated remain unpressed. That's what I was saying. Again, he's walking it back now. I certainly don't want to discourage explorations that defy the ambient presumptions about what is interesting and important. On the contrary, the best bold strokes in the field will almost always be met by stony incredulity or ridicule at first, and these should not deter you. My point is just that you should not settle complacently into a seat on the bandwagon just because you have found some brilliant fellow travelers who find your work on the issue unignorable as you find theirs. You may all be taking each other's for a ride. Oh, it's fine. It all costs money. Like, seriously? All right, checkmate in 2. Let's see. How do you, like, I don't know. Here, there, no. Where are you gonna? There. You go there, then there. That's check. Yeah. I don't know how to do this, but anyway. Okay, let's review this. Frankly, like, this is just like, I'm sorry, I'm like distracted. Like, this pissed me off. This is like just massive levels of like grumpy old philosopher. Like, I don't know what he was thinking. It's 2006. It's like, oh, you shouldn't be doing anything just because people say it's good. How the fuck else do you do this? Is he seriously telling people go find some like obscure like topic and go like be special because he's bored with like everything else that's being said? It's like this is like he doesn't like anyone else's philosophy, so he's like bored with everything anyone else is saying. Like, yeah, fuck off. Anyone who's new here, you are free to review. How you review? You type in the is this a joke we don't get? It only has one reference. Yeah, so this is like a comment piece. It's like, it's dumb. It just rants. It's just a rant. Dennett high school football rules. Yeah. So this is like vote nay for me. This is just like, if this was a joke, it was a bad one. And I get the sense that someone asked him to write something and he was like, hey, I got this like silly little piece about like, how to deal with future in philosophy and don't be pointless. And they were like, yeah, cool. It's Dennett and we'll like put it in. It's like, no, this is not good. It just like the arguments are basically, well, you shouldn't jump on the bandwagon. Like, okay, but like, that doesn't mean the bandwagon is terrible. Maybe you'll get a little bit of good work done and then you can move on to something else. So let's see. What do we got here? We've got brain dance. The funny ideas make with brain dance. No, it was not fun. Nog grapes for big claims that shriveled up. Yeah, this is getting nog graped. This is getting grapes all up on this. Lots of grapes from me. Navel gazing only for academics. He kept saying try to explain it to other people. And he didn't do that. He didn't do that at all. No one would give a fuck about this. So it's gonna get a nog navel. Wow, this is gonna be one of the worst rated papers I've ever had, and it's a Dan Dennett piece. All style, no substance. Yeah, it's getting nog turd too. Because he walked back to his claims, but like the substance was garbage. I'm not gonna, let's see. There's a scream for our existential artistic drama. Does this count as existential? So it's like, yeah. Does this even count as existential? I'm trying to think of, is there anything good about like saying, hey, what to do with your life? It's like, you know what? Like, might as well, because it does touch on that, but like, ugh, terrible. 2 nays, 2 shriveled up, navel gazing, 2 turds, and just because he's talking about what to do with your life, he gets the existential. So it's the George Lucas effect because of his name. He only deals with sycophants. Maybe, that's an interesting question. What was the big claim? The claim is about higher order truths and how you should figure out how to deal with stuff. And he had to walk back all the claims at the end. If you look at the very end here, this last paragraph is the tests don't matter. Certainly, and then things that are like weird, that also doesn't matter. So in the last paragraph, even when he had made some claims earlier, he recognized that those claims don't hold up the whole time. And it's like, well, he had to walk that whole shit back. Yeah, give it the scream for artistic drama. Exactly. And so it's a little bit of like, what do you do? Like, yeah, that's fair. He was also using Chmess, which is like trying to be clever. This is all like trying to be clever, and it's just not. It comes off as out of touch with reality. So yeah, I agree with your nog scream. I was trying to find anything good about it, but it's all bad. Like, these are all the rest of the emotes I gave it. The rest of the stuff, it's all just like, these are the bad ones. So, it's like, yeah. So I was talking to, and if anyone else wants to get their reviewing, we can get it in now. I'll leave the review screen up for a few more seconds because it only records your emotes when the screen is up. I was talking to somebody a while ago about, there was a whole topic of grounding that was kind of popular in the big journals, as it's called metaphysical grounding. What grounds what? Like you have these ideas that, like these sort of higher claims, like the abstract claims, well, they're grounded in physics. And so there's some sort of relation between what happens at the macroscopic level and then it's grounded. And this grounding relation is some sort of, it's not so clear, but in some sense, if you're a physicalist and you think physics is what is like the world is made out of, then the whatever, like, me, you, tables, chairs, everything, that has to be grounded in physics. And I watched someone giving that had published a few papers in that area. They had gotten like a job, like basically because they had some big papers in that research a topic, and then they gave their talk and they were like, I don't want to do grounding and all. I was thinking, why would you get rid of your meal ticket? Why would you stop working on grounding? That's what got you your job, like a tenure track job. It's what got you that stuff. Like, why would you not want to do that anymore? And then, like, soon after that, all the grounding stuff just, dropped off. Everything got said that they wanted to get said, and like it's sort of the research program sort of died off, and there's just no more grounding talk anymore, or a lot less of it. So it's like, it was a fad. They recognized it. They had to move on. That happens. So what? No one knew at the head of time. Maybe like some brilliant philosopher would be like, well, it's not for me and I don't write on that. But not everyone is going to, like, sometimes things go in directions you don't expect. You don't know everything. Dennett does not know all the areas of philosophy that it's going to go. So it's like, yeah, no more grounding. Now we're yelling at clouds. Yeah, you, me, and Globus. Old man yells at clouds. I think Globus said once that like that was going to be not Globus yelled, or Globus yells at clouds or something is what his one of the original titles for his for Twitch was going to be. But yeah, so it's like, okay, like this happens, but no one knows. So it's like, who are you to determine all the other stuff